Welcome back to All Things ETH. My name is Aaron, and on this channel we talk about all things Ethereum. We talk about projects, NFTs, DeFi, play to earn, and price. And today, guys, I'm going to follow up my video about Alpha with a video about the tools that I use to actually get data. So data and Alpha go hand in hand, guys. You want to make sure you're looking at TVLs and volume on these applications before you start aping into them. So let's get on into the tools that I use to find empirical data that give me some reason to believe the alpha, right? So when you find the alpha on Twitter, Discord, Telegram, and Medium, as I mentioned in the previous video, I want to get into things like DefiLlama and DexScreener and the ubiquitous trading view to give you some more data-driven exports. And I want to talk about Dune as well. I don't want to forget Dune as a great place to find tons of data about on-chain metrics. So let's jump into DefiLlama first. If you don't follow me on Twitter, guys, follow me at All Things ETH, and I used to do this daily, and I do pretty often still do 3 to 4 times a week, post the best data for ETH yields, ETH LSDs, borrowing ETH or lending ETH, and then also I like to talk about stable pools as they're a great place to hodl your stables and to grow them in order to buy more ETH. So first I want to go through how I search these things on DefiLlama to give you the secrets of how I do it. So if you go to DefiLlama.com and then go to yields here and then hit pools is where you start getting to the yield farming pools that I like to put my ETH in particular in. If you haven't watched the channel before, or if you're new here, I often talk about staking ETH. I mean, All Things ETH is the name of the channel, right? And getting the most out of your ETH and making your ETH work for you is the best way, in my opinion, not financial advice, but in my opinion, to grow your wealth, as I do expect Ethereum to be the future of finance. So how do we get into this? I'm going to put in some search terms here in order to bring this yield farming strategy into place. So I'll type in ETH. I'll put in Seth, or Seth2, which is another LSD. Seth in particular, which is a synthetic ETH made by Synthetics. We have Steth, which is Lido-staked ETH. I might type in Frax ETH. So for X ETH, and then staked Frax ETH is right there too, so why not add that in? So what I'm doing here is adding all these things that are ETH related, right? And when you're pooling your resources inside of liquidity mining pools to get these rewards, you want to make sure that you're putting 2 ETH pairs up against each other, so there's not a lot of impermanent loss. Now you will get some variance between staked assets and regular ETH occasionally, so you want to be careful about those, but in general these are going to give you no impermanent loss because they are correlated. Now if you do this and you don't have this box checked here, you're going to get a lot of different assets. You're going to get, let's refresh this, and you're going to get a ton of assets. If you hit APY is where you want to start here, you're going to get WETH to Quick, WETH to ARB, WETH to House, all these different pairs that are going to give you a lot of impermanent loss. Now they might be amazing APYs, in the triple to quintuple digit yields here, but I don't want to get any impermanent loss on these in particular, especially with my Ethereum. So I'm going to go to attribute, and I'm going to choose no IL or no impermanent loss, and that'll narrow this down significantly for you to where you're just getting things that are ETH related. So I do personally think you should stay away from Geth. That's a personal conviction. That's Genesis ETH, and with some of the FUD that we've seen in some of the centralized media in particular about Genesis, I'm staying away from this pool in particular. But right here on the chain are all listed in the middle here. Polygon, we have a wrapped ETH to wrapped ETH pool, which cracks me up. Polygon was the first L2, and it definitely has some quirks. So, but you can possibly, if you can find this pool, which if you click on this, you should be able to find the pool. DefiLlama is great at getting you directly to the pools. You may have to type some things in after, but at least it'll get you close. 177% on, that's insane, on ETH to ETH pairs. Now we have an Optimism. There's Velodrome has this WETH to Petho. I don't know what Petho is, so I'm going to skip that. Again, we have Geth, or Genesis ETH. I'm going to skip that. Now Pendle's been fantastic. Now look at the rewards though. So APY is at 61%, but 51% of that reward volume is actually, or reward tokens is actually in Pendle Finance tokens, which is up to you if you want to reward yourself. I particularly don't want to. I particularly like to get base APYs in Ethereum and the other like wrapped ETH, staked ETH, these sorts of things. So I'm going to look for more higher yields with those sort of returns in specifically in ETH. So Yield Protocol looks to be the top as far as that goes. Now it is on the Ethereum chain where you're going to pay a lot of gas, so you will need to be careful because this 53% could drop down to 5% within a couple of days. So I look over here, and this is where you see the 30-day moving average. So Yield Protocol is producing in the last 30 days has produced a consistent 46% on Ethereum, and look at this little icon means it doesn't have a token yet. Sometimes these are outdated, so be careful with those, but do your own research on those guys. You might, if you use Yield Protocol, be able to be eligible for an airdrop at some point. And DefiLlama does put those in with their own research, so check those out. Other things that I like to use, Arbitrum in particular is probably one of my favorite places to yield farm. I said stay away from Geth particularly. That's up to you. We have this LQ ETH WETH. I'm not familiar with LQ ETH, so I wouldn't particularly want to get into that. But Camelot here has a Rocket ETH and a wrapped ETH pool that's generating 25%, and that's pretty fantastic. Now that is in Grail rewards, but Grail is doing a fantastic job right now and has been trading very, very solidly. So I wouldn't mind getting into that one, and there are many more to choose from here if you want to. Pickle is something I've used pretty regularly. Kyber Swap I can vouch for as well as being good, consistent places to make ETH rewards in particular. And right now these are all in base APY, so 18% on ETH and Optimism, both in Kyber Swap and Pickle. Check those out for sure. Now do be careful with the wrapped staked ETH and wrapped ETH pairs. And some of them are variable pools, similar to what you see in Uniswap v3, where it's you're going to sell some as the price goes up. You may be selling out of that rising priced asset. So wrapped staked ETH accrues value, wrapped ETH does not in token value, just based on interest. So you want to be careful as the prices will stay close, but one of them will grow slightly more than the other. Won't get much impermanent loss there, but you will start scaling out of the asset that's growing in price. So be aware of those. Now, what else do I do with DefiLlama? As I said, I like to look at borrow and lend base APYs. So I'll go into this. I'll do the same thing here. I'll put in Ethereum, staked ETH, Seth, and Seth2. Now, one thing that I didn't mention before is I like to narrow down the chains. It gives you all these chains: Tron, BSC, Avalanche, Kronos, all these different chains. Well, I limit them personally to the chains that I like to use in particular, and I like to use Ethereum based chains, right? So we got Ethereum, we've got Avalanche, which is an EVM, Polygon, and Arbitrum and Optimism are my favorite to stick on to. You can use a lot of these. Some of them are going to be, in fact, about 50% of them are EVM compatible, so do your own research on those, but the liquidity And TVL that I like to see in the ecosystems I like to use are Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, Avalanche, and Ethereum at this point. And Avalanche being actually probably the lowest on my list, because even though you can bring Ethereum over to Avalanche and it is EVM compatible, you're burning AVAX tokens instead of Ethereum. Polygon's probably second least in terms of my personal use. I tend to stay on Ethereum, Arbitrum, and Optimism, and Arbitrum is currently the tops for me. So I do want to show you what this looks like. If I click on supply-based APY, this is what I am the most interested in, and I've been in this Granary Finance supply Ethereum market for quite some time. In fact, I am involved with their airdrop, and they did a token sale, and I'm in that as well on Optimism, gaining currently 6% APY on it does say on ETH, and I'm actually getting closer to that in wrap-staked ETH. So get into these and check them out. Make sure you're on the right chain, as Granary does operate on different chains, but you get some great APYs there on the lend side. And then I'll go and borrow some ETH and then maybe use that in different protocols. So in Granary, you're actually making some not just base APY, but you're getting some rewards in Oath and Lido and inside of Granary currently. So check those out. And then I like to get into stables as well, or LSDs. Let's go into LSDs because I do post about this often on Twitter. This is where you will find the best APYs currently on liquid stake derivatives for Ethereum. These have skyrocketed and then come back down recently over the last month and a half. So these are pretty stable at the moment. 4.5% on Lido. Pretty great return. Frax ETH has been a roller coaster. I've seen as high as 12% and as low as 4.5%. So five and change is pretty good there. Although I'd like to see it higher, as there is a little bit more risk involved with Frax being less known and newer to the ecosystem than say Lido. So all right, let's get into. I think this should be my stables, and if it's not, I'm going to show you how to do it. It is my stable search here. So all you have to do is go into yields, go to stablecoins. In fact, I'm going to show you what to do with LSDs. In here, liquid sticky derivatives is at the bottom of the list. It's easy to find. But stablecoin pools are in the yields tab here, and then I'll go into choose my my chains of choice. You can go and choose your tokens of choice, but I don't find that necessary in particular on this search. And then I'm going to hit APY. I'm going to hit the highest APY at the top. I have participated in this beefy WUSDR USDC pool on Velodrome, and then into beefy, and that has produced great rewards. I mean, 96% on stablecoins. Now you are putting up a little bit of risk, as wrapped USDR is a newer stablecoin. It's related to actual real assets though in the real world. So do a little bit of research into USDR if you're interested in this pool in particular. USDR, like I said, is correlated and backed by actual real estate in particular. So we're looking at real world assets, which is a cool narrative in the world of DeFi. You're not just you're not getting value from TVL in this specific way. You're actually getting assets or value from real world assets. So retail or not real estate in particular. So the R stands for real estate, and USDR is pretty interesting. So this beefy pool is amazing. There's a lot of steps to getting into this. You do have to swap USDC or Tether for USDR, and then put in 50% and 50% into Velodrome first of all to get this started. And then you don't stake in your LPs in Velodrome. You move them over to beefy, which auto compounds and will get you close to 96% right now. In fact, when I first jumped into this, I think it was 110%. Made $50, $60 really quickly off a $1,000 investment, and that was fantastic. So moving on, these are my top searches that I do on a daily basis to find the best yields. Aura's doing wrapped USDC-R as well. You might want to look down to if you're a little bit more squeamish with real world assets up here, you may want to scroll down to Gala versus USD plus. Maybe not, because USD plus isn't super super popular, or it's kind of new, so I maybe stay away from that if you're not interested. Now you can get into a single staking. This is on Ethereum using APR. I don't personally know much about APR, so do your own research. My favorite pool, a little bit lower, the more safe one on this particular search, guys, is down here at GMD Protocol. GMD Protocol does single-sided staking based on GLP in particular, but they are delta or pseudo delta neutral. They have a fund in their protocol that pays for any major fluctuations in the GLP market, but you do take some of those fees from the GLP system, or the GMX GLP system on Arbitrum, and get currently 22%. Now I've seen this up as high as 60, and I just leave some of my USDC in this pool for rainy day pickups of coins that I'm interested in. So that's one of my favorite places to put USDC in particular, as I'm a big fan of Arbitrum and stability in single-sided pools. So moving on from that, the other tool that I like to use quite often and on a daily basis for sure, I've got this on my phone and I've got this on my laptop all the time, is TradingView. Now there's some cool indicators that you can get. I'm using trade confidence, prices versus whale money flow, and trend exhaustion for some data on specifically on-chain data, which is really good. There are plenty of different things that you can pay for. This is a paid subscription service, or a one-time product actually, over at Trade Confident. You can check the link in my bio, or check the link in description for that specific product if you'd like to. But this is where I track all of my assets that I'm interested in or currently own. So other places to track are great are Zerion if you want to track your wallet, NFTs, and these sorts of things, as well as DBank. So I do recommend checking out DBank. In fact, I'll show you DBank. I'm not afraid to show you what I'm up to in particular. I'm going to try to scroll down so you don't see my balance right off the top, but you will see them if you do the math there. In my wallet, I've got all my assets, and this is multi-chain, guys, so this is great to see what you have on Ethereum, what you have on Arbitrum. Maybe you have something on Optimism. If it doesn't have an icon, it's Ethereum on these guys. Put in your wallet address and it populates all these different things for you. Now, not every application is supported on DBank and Zerion, so that's why I use both of them. Some of them have some and not others, and some of the newest ones, especially those launching on layer 2s, aren't going to be available, but at least you can get a pretty good overview of how pools are doing and different projects that you're invested in are doing. So check that out for sure. When I can't find anything on, or a specific coin on TradingView, I go to DexScreener. So DexScreener is on-chain data, specifically tracking any ERC20s in particular. So I'm in this crazy pool that's Flash SGLP, and I'm pooling that against USDC to make some crazy APYs right now. I think the APYs are like quadruple digit. Let's get into this and find out. Yeah, we're still at 1100%, 1,180% on this pool in particular. Now you do need to buy the FS GLP and be comfortable doing so. That's a pretty volatile asset, as this asset actually just got created by the team at Flash, so be careful with this. But I did put in about $1,000 worth. Let's see what it actually say here. Yeah, my pooling is $1,000.81. I think I put in like 110 exactly, or 140, something like that, into this FSGLP versus USDC pool. And it's kind of single-sided right now. There's a couple different ones. If you go to app.xtokenterminal.io, you can find out about this in particular. But I am making some crazy APR currently on this specific pool, and I was just showing you the price of FSGLP. The only place to find that for me in particular is on DexScreener, because it gives you on-chain data. So let me show you how this works. So I'm going to pull up a new tab. I'm going to go and put in DexScreener. It'll take me to the last one I probably looked up because I did a quick search. But what I'm going to do is put in, let's say a lot of places don't have a good price data for the new stablecoin it's GMUSDC, or USD rather, GMUSD. So this is a new stablecoin just put out by the people at GMD in particular. So it's backed by DAI, or GDAI actually, and GMD USDC, and you can actually find the token price on this specific stablecoin here. It is bouncing all over the place because it's brand new and we're trying to figure this out where the peg's going to stay, but it is close to $1, and there's just not a ton of liquidity right now, so so you're going to get some fluctuations. However, this is going to be a yield-bearing asset, which will increase over time the price of being over $1, which is going to be awesome. So I do hope to see some great adoption here. Again, it's backed by GDAI and GMD USDC, which is, like I said before, I think I said that in the stablecoin section, that it is backed by the GLP GMX kind of standard, if you will, of gains. So it is going to be yield bearing. So what else do I use? I think that may be it. I'm looking at all my open tabs here to see if there's anything else that I use on the regular as far as research goes on the data side, and I think that is it for now, guys. With that, again, let's do a quick review. I really start with all my research on the data side with DefiLlama. I'll track things in my Zerion and DBank wallets tracking systems. I'll use TradingView for most coins, but if I can't find it in TradingView, you can definitely find it in DexScreener, as it gives you on-chain data. So with that, thank you so much for watching again, guys, and God bless.